Hello, everybody, and it's been a long time. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and welcome to the first sit-down stream I'm having with you, the audience, in a very long time. I can't remember the last one we had. We had a lot of Whiskey Fridays in between. I've uploaded a lot of individual videos in between, and the end of last year was just a very busy time, and it still is a busy time. I still have more projects than I know what to do with. And for someone who's technically unemployed, I haven't been busy. So I'm not complaining. But hello to everyone. Excuse me, everyone in the comments. David Bossoff that got in first at like literally 23 minutes to the hour already. Grant Hockley, familiar face. Good evening, Grant. You earlier as well. Roy, Daniel, Lloyd, Andrea, Alan, Valerie, Stinakie, goeienaand. Dame, hoe gaan dit met u? Rick, Mareike, who will be joining myself and Brian again on Friday night in the actual studio. Goeienaand. Iceman and Kevin. Naand. Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in, guys. And I'll get the merchandise plug out the way early. This is the one design that launched on the website today. This here is legitimate AR-15 gas stains. I did my instructor's qualification last week, and part of that shoot was shooting from weak shoulder, which is this one. So all the gas spurted out, and I got nice and dirty there. So, but I'm not going to sell this one, so no. You don't get the legitimate gas burn version. But Stephen, good evening, goeienaand. And yeah, like it's been, I don't know why I hoped they would just somehow Sense and Sensibility would win through and they would end this new kind of lockdown and allow us to go back to the beach and allow us to buy alcohol again and stay out later than like 9 at night because we're not naughty children. Well, that didn't happen. They extended it by another month, which is unconscionable and ridiculous. And my heart bleeds for the entire service industry, the events industry, the restaurant industry, and all like the associated industries connected with the forward and backward linkages to those industries. And it's this thing that I've been moaning about for nearly a year. Like, people don't understand how ridiculous an alcohol ban is, how damaging an alcohol ban is, because it doesn't just hurt the alcohol industry. And, you know, we have these hyperbolic statements of, you know, it's to save lives, excuse me, and reduce trauma. And I'm like, cool, that's cute. But how about the lives and trauma of the people in the glass-making industry that are fucked because of it? The various parts of the agriculture, logistics, and transportation industries that are broken. You know, the people that work as laborers in those industries and are no longer earning wages. No one thinks further than their noses as far as social media commentators are concerned on this. And yeah, as Devia puts it, you know, this cult of mask madness needs to take its shove it up its ass and fuck off now. Like, that's, you know, this is exactly it, Stephen. It's a nightmare. Colonel Wyatt, good evening. Sorry for interrupting the stream, guys. Just to shout out to the Colonel. Are we really, really all on simultaneously? Bugger. Okay, that wasn't intentional, but hey, I'm glad I stole my portion of the audience. Warwick, evening, and JC. I keep calling you CJ, but it's JC. Good evening. JC Denton from Deus Ex. Guten Abend, Astral Falcon. And yeah, glass making is a disaster. You cannot stop and start kilns that have been running for over 50 years. Exactly. And I mean, there was an additional knock-on effect. And I don't quite know how hard we're going to feel it, but the byproduct of the beer brewing industry is the remnant that remains, that mush after beer has been brewed, that is recycled or upcycled as a form of livestock feed. Because that isn't as copiously available as it was, that's no longer available to feed livestock to the same degree. So now livestock feed prices are, well, the price of meat and food in general is going to go up because that's another agricultural input cost that is now been or input rather that's been messed with by this nonsense. Hi Mandy, I've missed having these lives as well, and the end is indeed nigh, and if you're a horse the end is neigh. Hello Amy, nice to see you here as well. All the familiar faces is just flipping awesome. Am I the only one who's starting to feel the hyperinflation? No, Debbie, I think I think we're all feeling it, but people aren't necessarily cognitively making that connection of our backs are not being stretched as far as they used to, and it's this is a direct byproduct of interfering with the economy. So during hard lockdown, prices of imports, just the transportation costs, the shipping costs of getting an import from its originating country to South Africa at one stage spiraled up by 400%. Okay. That made it inviable for many importers to import certain things because you're just not going to sell it. You can't sell it at a competitive price. In South Africa itself, because we've messed with so many industries and shut the economy down, open up, shut down, there's no plan. So no one can actually plan around the disruptions, and the disruptions themselves are so horrendously destructive. We're creating supply and demand shocks artificially, and they are just having devastating effects on the price mechanism, as we can see every time we go to the shop. There you go. Thanks, Colonel. It is indeed. So the beer brewing process, the byproduct is the feedstock, and that's not available. So the cost of keeping your livestock fed is higher than it used to be, which means that's going to translate into higher meat prices. That's just the way it is. And South Africans we are a carnivorous nation as best as we can. We already have a nutrition problem in this country where people aren't getting enough protein in their systems. They're eating far too much starch because it's pap and sauce, because that's what the majority of the populace can barely afford is starch. Okay, so now you take protein, which is a hugely important thing for early childhood development. You can get protein primarily through eating animals. And now you're making that more expensive. So great. We're just screwing the next generation of kids, right? How's it, Dylan? I'm not 100% sure what you're commenting on, but if you want my input or anything, just let me know. SAB was going to sue them. I think they still are. Some NGO called their lawsuit divisive, which is why I made that whole post this afternoon about, you know what, if me having food and keeping a roof over my head through being productive is divisive, then whatever bitch says that can grind that divide as hard as she needs to until her eyes pop out of her skull, because then fine, we'll be divisive because that means we get to eat, right? How's it, Kevin? And you still have the Cyril Praise singers thanking for keeping us level 3. I know. I vomit in my mouth every time I see that a little bit. JC, a pack of 2 thin sliced pork chops costs 50 Rand already. Yeah, it's getting real. The price the inflation thing is here, guys. Good evening, Kimo Sabe. So, a little conspiracy theory. I have a couple of conspiracy theories. So, pertaining these full hospitals we've got at the moment with COVID patients, right? Yeah, a lot of hospitals are at capacity. Not all of them, but all. But think about it this way. If you are the guy in charge of that warden, in charge of those admissions, and sick people pitch up to your hospital wanting to be admitted, and you're not 100% sure if you want to send this guy home, because you send him home and he ends up dying a day or two later from COVID at home, his family is probably going to sue you. You know, that whole vicarious liability thing due to your gross negligence of not admitting him to hospital. So the only way you can cover your ass in this situation is you admit the fucker, right? And you admit the next fucker, and you admit the next fucker. If you think they're just sick enough, you know what? If they're not sick and they take up a bed for 3 or 4 or 5 days and they bugger off again, there's no skin off your nose. The hospital gets paid, you get paid, and you don't get sued. The problem is you fill your ward up with patients like that. Someone who's genuinely sick rocks up, needs that bed. Hospitals feel sorry, can't have it. That person then dies. You cannot be held responsible for anything because you were not negligent. Your hospital is full. So there is definitely a principal agent problem sense of if you, and I probably would have done the same thing if I was, I'm not saying this is happening, but I have a hypothesis it is. If I was a guy in charge of those wards, I would also want to cover my ass. I would also want to make sure that in this age of hysteria where everyone is dying from COVID and the media like a feral pack of wolves tearing everyone to shreds that they don't agree with, and how everything is a crisis and a scandal, and how people are being deplatformed and essentially cancelled with cancel culture. If I was a medical professional and I just wanted to fly under the radar and I didn't want to get sued, I want to cover my own ass, I would admit every bastard with a fucking runny nose and a wheezy chest and say, there's a bed for you, go there. Because then I know there's going to be no comebacks at all from sending this guy home. And if he dies and I get sued and the court goes, oh, but you should have known it's the middle of a pandemic. How could have you been so blasé, blah, 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 blah. I've been like, that's fine. Okay. My hospital's full, sir. I have no beds for you. You go home and die. Not my problem anymore. And as one of the Institute of Race Relations guys, it was a Free Market Foundation guy, said to them on Twitter, he's like, we're a country of 60 million people. If 15,000 patients is all it takes to overrun our healthcare system completely, then we've got a pretty shit healthcare system, don't we? I mean, if it can't even cope with 15,000 people needing admissions. And that's the thing. For 26 years, the ANC has not expanded upon medical infrastructure. We've not improved training facilities. We've not added to the volume of people being trained. I know in some private hospitals, they've got 25 to 30 ICU beds. But because ICU nurses were treated so badly for so many years, they used to get a couple of years with experience, pack their bags, head off to Dubai, or they used to go to Qatar or anywhere else in the Middle East or Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the UK, wherever, get treated a lot better, get paid a lot better. So we always had a huge ICU shortage in this country. Now you're sitting with a private hospital with a 25 to 30 bed ICU capacity, but the ICU is full when they hit 5 patients, because they only have enough ICU nursing staff to handle 5 beds of sick people. That's where we are right now. This is the crisis is manufactured due to incompetence, criminal levels of mismanagement, negligence from politicians, from big corporates and oligopolies. It's a mess. It's a damning indictment that this country is in no form to absorb any sort of mass casualty event at all, because think about one Westgate terrorist attack like in Nairobi, or anything bigger than an Alverda school bus crash, and your fucking ICU is overwhelmed and you can't cope and people end up lying in the parking lots. Well, in a state hospital on a good day, people are lying on mattresses in the halls anyway. So overcapacity was normal, is normal. Now all of a sudden it's a crisis, and we're killing the country and the economy, adding more to it. Okay, before I get to more comments, another thing to add to this. So end of last year, we started getting the spike. For 6 to 9 months last year, we told people with chronic medical conditions to stay home, don't go to the hospital. We either discouraged them from seeking treatment or they couldn't get treatment at all. So for 6 to 9 months of the year, their chronic condition got worse and worse. We canceled elective surgeries, and you cancel an elective surgery enough, soon it's not elective anymore. It's necessary and required or vital. And your medical aid renews in January. So unless you want to deplete the 2021 medical aid, when the floodgates opened, everyone rushed to a hospital at the end of last year to get their shit done. It's no surprise that healthcare is overwhelmed, because we're creating fucking artificial spikes by opening, closing, treating the economy and people and this very complicated social and national organism as if it's a thing you can switch on and off at the wall without any consequences. And yeah, now we're having the consequences. Sorry, I just need to shotgun all that stuff through there, and feel free to agree, disagree, ask questions. Yeah. And let me get to the comments before I get too far behind. BavZ307. Every time you say protein, I hear you say Prodine. And I'm like, what's Prodine? Some post-natal medication. Sorry, I'll work on my pronunciation, sir. But on the upside, Chris Harney Trauma Ward is empty for the first time ever. But I thought hospitals were collapsing under the deluge. I'm so confused. Which lies are we supposed to believe? Well, that's a magic question, isn't it? Like, and I like the way you put it, Colonel. Which lies are we supposed to believe? In the sense of, we know for a fact that the truth is a scarce commodity right now, and it's a hated commodity as well, and no one wants it. Everyone wants comforting lies and half truths, and yeah, I'm almost at the point now, if the mainstream media says something, I treat it as dubious at best or an outright lie. And I try to, there's so much reading between the lines you do. So I just don't read the news. I don't watch the news anymore. And if the radio is on in the car, I switch it off, because I just can't deal with all the bad takes and all the bullshit anymore. I just can't. The worst on the pricing are PNP. They're sure maintaining their profit margin. Yeah, I think everyone is trying to, but ultimately that's not going to work. Good evening, Brett. Let's see. How's it, Jay? Long time no see. Let's shoot the shit being the shit show with a lot of bullets. Jay, you're still supposed to join us on Whiskey Friday. I was supposed to organize it last year and I was terrible at it. So official invitation while I've got you and Marika on the stream. Do you want to join us this Friday? You want in? Brian would love it. I would love it. I'm sure we all would love it. Christos Yamaha from Crete. Good evening, sir. How are things going in the wonderful water winter wonderland that is Greece? Feel free to chime in the comment section. I'll read it out. Mareike, Tabazimbi mini clinic is full, but they don't tell you that we only have 34 beds. Yeah, it's easy to fill up 34 beds. Many hospitals run 110% capacity without COVID-19. Full hospitals with the private public is not a new thing anyway. Indeed. I mean, there's enough news articles about full hospitals being an issue dating back years and years and years and years, and a quick Google will find it. Hi, Doreen. Good seeing you here as well, ma'am. Most hospitals only have 5 to 6 10 to 2 ICU beds. Yep, that's it. And they hope to fill them as much as possible because ICU capacity is expensive. It's very expensive. Questions to government. We all should be asking, if I get vaccinated, can I stop wearing the mask? Can they reopen restaurants? Oh, by the way, all this stuff, they're already talking about it. No, if you get vaccinated, you essentially carry on as you presently are. There's no fucking benefit. And there's no guarantee that you won't transmit the virus anyway, as it is. So I'm sorry, I'm not interested in a pre-alpha trial vaccine being injected into my body. I've had enough vaccinations in my life. I've had the full Africa package yellow card plus all the bolt-ons. And I've had the side effects. I've had the fevers. I've had blind spots in my eyes. I've had loss of sensation in my extremities. I've read about the limb paralysis and all the cuck. And I'm like, you know what? I'm cool with vaccines. I'm happy to take the risk of a vaccine injury if I'm being inoculated against something really serious. Getting a shot for a virus that's 99.98 something percent survivable still, even in this present time, and something that is mutating so bloody fast that you're probably getting injected with a dud anyway by the time it gets to you. No, thank you. Like, I've got better risks to take in my life than that. And that's my opinion. I'm not a doctor. I can't give you medical advice. You need to do what you are comfortable with, but I'm not comfortable with that at all. I've been to 3 private hospitals, Gauteng, during lockdown, all empty. Yeah, I don't know if they still are. I always get conflicting info. But if you guys are on the ground and you know what's cooking, please let me know. I'm as interested, I guess, as you are. In my opinion, that's the $1 million question. Are they, aren't they? Zahir, hospitals aren't doing anything else but COVID. No elective surgeries, no clinics. Look, some of the private hospitals, in fact, I think most of them are still doing electives. They used to cancel them. Their attitude now is they are treating it on a day-by-day basis, which means, remember, the hospitals lost a fuck ton of money by canceling electives. A lot of specialists lost so much money that many of them were looking and are still looking if they haven't already closed their practices because it's not worth it. And if you're a specialist that's post-retirement age and you're really just sticking around because you enjoy the work you do and you're like a highly, highly proficient specialist, if you throw in the towel because it's not worth it anymore to keep doing your work. That is experience that you'll never get back in the system. That's a lost specialist, and all of society is poorer for it. But sure, let's just mess with the system and prevent people from earning a living because it'll save lives, right? God, that saying that makes me ill. We warn people about these knock-on effects, but no pandemic. Well, indeed. And look, right? There's 106 people on the stream who you think I'm worth listening to, which still amazes me. But all of us kind of think similarly, right? We approach this issue from the same angle. We have the same frustrations. We share the same fears. We share the same hopes. We share the same anger, disbelief. And I mean, the guy from Radio Raps made contact with me today on Twitter, and he's like, gutful, because he runs a pub/restaurant and it's open, close, open, close, open, close. And his exact words to me is, dit is 'n moerse fok op. And I mean, I look at guys like Kwacha Boucher, former rugby player that has a wine farm down here, a whole bunch of wine farmers who are, for want of a better word, cucking off because, you know, they're being deep sexed by these restrictions that make no sense. Yeah, the frustration is real. And the only positive thing I have to say about it is bringing a lot of people together across the age, culture, and race spectrum. And that gives me a bit of hope because, yeah, I think we're in for a happy, fun time still this year. More on that later. Warned about the second wave in April. Yeah, don't worry. We're going to get third and fourth waves. We'll keep having waves until there's nothing left to wave over, right? That's going to be it. Hey, Rolf, come chat to us at CHS. I mean, ammo prices, I don't think are going to return to normal, but we'll probably beat most of the other ones if you're in the Cape. Okay, I presume it's not going well in Greece. I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. My uncle's in Athens, and he's not having a good time either. I was hoping maybe Crete would be less horrible, but at least you've got Neil Asher, the author, in Crete, and yeah, he seems to be still enjoying it to a degree. Hello, Sean of Living Seeds. Happy to see you here. Good to see you, my friend. Maurice, good evening. Astral Falcon, imagine having been in a coma for a year and a half and waking up 2021. Oh, God, yeah. A rude awakening. I think you want to be like, can I go back into the coma now, please? Wake me up when this is over. Yeah, that's kind of the trick, right? If you have a hospital that's mostly empty, it's not making money. If it's not making money, it can't pay for its own existence. And, you know, a lot of people go, oh, but why all the profit motive? The truth to reality is if any entity doesn't make a profit, it cannot pay for its own existence, because profit is what makes its existence worthwhile. It means people are rewarded for the risks they take, the effort they put in, the other resources they divert to making it a reality. So if it's not profitable, it dies. And that's something that people like Bianca van Wyk and a whole bunch of other Twitterati lefties don't get. Probably because they're all trust fund babies and the concept of money not growing on trees is alien to them. And this is coming from someone who grew up quite privileged, me. I fucking understood that because my parents taught me as a child that that's how it goes. And clearly a lot of children were never taught this basic fact. I mean, I've never seen a money tree, have you? I mean, it's a hypothetical question. Frontline Doctors America says that language manipulation is rife. These vaccines are actually experimental protocols. In the States, they are going to track recipients for 2 years. Oh, joy. That sounds not at all bizarre or abnormal or unhealthy. Yeah, basically, just as we just ironically discussed. Ja, dat was 'n understatement. Die man was nie gelukkig nie, Helen. Glad nie. And I think we are getting to that point. If I look at what's happening now, so there's the 200,000 people aren't going to get their disability grants this month. That's a lot, okay? And if you think about it, as an outraged person to me said, why are they canceling disability grants? You know, it's not your fault you're disabled. it's within your control how many children you have. Why do they not start with the child grants first? So I was like, well, that's a fair point, because if you're disabled and you're dependent on that grant because of your disability, which is not your choice to be, why are you getting nailed when someone else is, basically a welfare addict? And we know that abuse of the welfare system is rife, with people essentially making children they can't afford in order to become grant recipients. We have weaponized welfare in SA, or rather the state has weaponized welfare, and they've enslaved people through it. But that's the thing. So that's already an issue. We're already seeing people fighting over water, where basic services and municipalities have seen their arse. We're already seeing one of the biggest municipalities in the Eastern Cape already saying they can't pay their people for the next 6 months. We've had Chatsworth where water tankers have been hijacked by angry residents out of desperation because they haven't had water for days upon days, if not weeks. I'm not 100% sure about the story, but the decay of the periphery has now turned into a crisis in the major metros. And unless there's something major that goes right, I think by winter we're in for sports, maybe sooner. I would have expected sooner already last year, but South Africa is a much more resilient country than I gave it credit for. But I mean, the cracks in the superstructure are really gaping now, and they're not going. I mean, they're still talking about bailing out SAA when they can't even pay the disability grants anymore. When we can't pay for a vaccine, not that I'm interested in taking it, but it also pisses me off that so many NGOs, and this includes AfriForum, the RR, the DA being a political party, all these people so obsessed with the vaccine. I'm like, do you cunts, pardon my language, I swear on this channel, but do you cunts for a moment believe that if we all get vaccinated, that we're going to return to normal? Has anything over the past 12 months telegraphed that somehow if we all get vaccinated, that this nightmare is just going to end? That we're going to suddenly become a democratic society where the ruling party respects our constitutional rights and the cops aren't acting like a bunch of right pigs? Because, the SAPS has really worked hard and long and committed to ensuring that the public really fucking hate them more than ever right now. I don't see that reputation recovering anytime soon. So no, I think if people can just keep their eye on the real ball, which is that we're sitting in a Marxist trial period of communism that's kind of becoming a subscription product right now, and that no vaccine is going to solve this. And I'm grateful our government fucked up in procuring this thing, because I don't know if that vaccine is going to not do far more harm than good. I bloody well don't trust it. And I didn't expect them to get it right, but they did us a massive favor by cocking it up. So, yeah, I do not understand this obsession with it as if it's going to be the panacea, because it ain't. I can guarantee you that. Goeienaand, Dion, by the way. Welkom wat jy ingetune het. Chris Ellingson. Jay, I would love to come to Whiskey Friday again, first of all. Now that I'm lubed up and know what to expect and can bring my personality this time. As for the whole, it's for everyone's safety spiel. If I hear it again in the face of sound logic, I'm going to... Excellent. Well, you can get a hold of me on Facebook Messenger. I will look out for you, sir, and send me your contact details and we'll arrange. I'm sure that Brian and Mareko already arranged, so that's fine. Mandy, that sounds so dodgy, but thank you for saying it. That's awesome. Hi, Adrian, Denzel, Clinton, where's the 500 billion? Dude, that's the 500 billion question, isn't it? I haven't received a satisfactory, I have not received a satisfactory answer to this particular question ever since asking it. Not once. So I have no idea where the 500 billion went, how it's been, if it's been procured, how it's been procured, what it's been assigned to, like what portfolios, what projects. It's, to me, a mystery. Only government allowed to procure vaccines, of course, let's be honest. There is no opportunity at self-enrichment, cater enrichment, and corruption that the ANC wouldn't want to maximize. Why would you want the private sector to get in on this gig? If you are the sole source, you can gouge pricing, you can redistribute to your connected friends, family members, whomever else is in the sick game with you. Why would you want other people to play in your sandpit if you're the biggest, fattest, meanest kid in the kindergarten? No, you see, the whole vaccine thing, the ANC, if the ANC had a plan in place to enrich itself off vaccine procurement, they would have been first on the bandwagon. They haven't yet. They're still figuring this out, but they will. Reike, some people are completely clueless as to what's going on in the real world and how it works. Indeed, they are. And we're halfway through the show, folks. So I'm not going to do the whole commercial break thing. If you like what I do, and if you want to contribute to Pirata so I can keep paying for my bandwidth, you can do this thing. I'm changing my face into a snap scan. You can pause, rewind, whatever. That's one way of sending me money for booze that I can't buy for my drinking problem. That was a joke, going free South Africa. I really don't have a drinking problem. That's the Zapper. You could either go into the store, which is linked below, and buy merchandise, which I ship to you, or you can super chat me in the YouTube section comments. Those are your ways of doing stuff. And if you do super chat me, then I'll leave your comment up for a good while. But anyway, moving on swiftly to the rest of the discussion, folks. Sorry about that rude interruption. It's still better than a YouTube ad, I think. It's a bit more personal. At least I'm talking to you. Why didn't they extend the state of disaster, but only the lockdown regulations? They forgot to extend the state of disaster. Wait a second. What's the date? It's still the 12th. No, they can still extend. Nkosazana still has 3 days. She won't miss. I promise you, she will not miss the chance to extend the state of disaster. If she does, it would be hilarious. I have no idea what happened there. But anyway, I'm back. Sorry about that. No, if they my own browser kicked me off. Where was I going with old saves? If they fail to renew the state of disaster, I think the wheels fall off the whole thing spectacularly. So I don't think they're going to. SASA is an upcoming serious humanitarian issue. It is going to be. And it's JC. There were warning signs that the fiscus was going to run out of money for the welfare state like years ago already. But we've accelerated this process. We've accelerated everything as part of the decline of this country. How shall we put it? Over this lockdown, where we've just curb stomped an already broken economy. So no, it is a massive issue. In 2007, 8, 9, when I worked in a public hospital, mothers were purposely contracting HIV so they would receive grants, because an HIV positive person received a larger grant than HIV. Geez, like I did not know this. That's, yeah. When I said welfare is weaponized and they turned people into addicts, that's the irresponsible behavior of an addict. And yeah, but I'm a bit speechless on that. That's a hectic revelation. How's it, Rick? They're planning to give prisoners the vaccine first. I thought it was unethical to perform medical experiments on prisoners. Oh, you know, if you frame it that way, indeed it is, isn't it? I'm surprised a guy like Richard Spoor hasn't pulled his head out of his a-hole and has taken this up. But, you know, God alone knows what goes on in Richard's head. I don't even know if he knows. Dan mense wat 'n lekker middag in die see, die Kaaps gedoen. Hy het steekendeel. Well, the sea isn't closed. We've now been told that you need to stay 100 away from the water, which is as arbitrary. Has Nkosazana ever looked at the sea? Has she ever looked at how it does not equally come up the land, and that a high water mark is not a fixed straight line that just... And how are you supposed to... And the beach is now sand next to a body of water, but I put sand next to a swimming pool. Does that not count as a beach on it? Is that now a criminal offense according to we've had more arbitrary bullshit, weird restrictions, unscientific nonsense, and straight up idiocy. And it's been a revolving door of this cuck that has given us more of it than and at a faster rate than Taylor Swift goes through boyfriends. It is intense, and it's impossible to keep up with every single idiotic thing because I had a whole structure in my head tonight about what I was going to talk to you guys about, but it's impossible to retain all the bullshit because there's so much of it. There's just so much of it. I've heard this as well. Look, they're not going to say it works because there haven't been sufficient clinical trials on it. But if I was dying from the Rona and I was going to croak, I would go to my veterinarian, get some of the stuff and take it and see what happens. Because you know what? I'm dying anyway, right? If I was going to die from this thing. So, but I have to admit the absolute almost agenda of censorship against anyone saying, well, this product could in theory kind of work is suspicious to me. It's like there's a lot of that going on. Yeah, Robbie, again, like the good hard questions. These are the same people that can't organize a piss up in the brewery. Well, they can't now because they banned it, but they don't even pitch on time for their own media briefings or their own marches or their own birthday parties, for Pete's sake. Do you guys remember what a fuck up the HIV antiretroviral rollout was in the beginning? And that was a more functional ANC, a more functional national government, and a more functional country that wasn't like on the cusp of failed state status. And that was a disaster. There's no way there can be a national vaccine rolled out by the state and it's not going to be a complete unmitigated fuck up. There just is no way, unfortunately. They're going to hoard the vaccine at their houses and sell it. They'll sell it like contraband, and those stupid enough to pay, top dollar for it. Well, you know what? It's I consider that a self-containing problem, to be honest. And we're not talking about the board game either. Hello, Ospusterki West. Is there, I have to ask this, is there an Ospusterki East? And are you related? But goeienaand, good evening. It's actually, Stephen, thank you for asking. It's actually coming along moorva nicely. Let me just give you the official figures quickly. It exploded over the last few weeks. Because it's basically coming. Rob actually extended it by another month because it just suddenly leapt by like 10,000 additional participants. So we're sitting well over. Hang on, I'm going to tell you now. About 20-something thousand, 22,545 participants. It's still open for now, but it's going to close at the end of Jan, and then we can take it to Parliament from there. So it's still there. Where can I get a mask on your thumbnail? Shaq Dweller, I made that myself with a Koki pen. I just literally took one of the normal surgical masks and I wrote "fuck the government" on it, and I wore it, and I got a lot of high fives. So yippee. Ja, Dion, ek is nie op Internet Explorer nie. I'm using Brave now. I ditched Mozilla Firefox because Mozilla became political about internet censorship, and I decided to kick them in the ovaries and move on because I vote with my feet now. So, sorry, just to answer Stephen's thing, people can still contribute, but I feel like it was hell of a successful now near the end, and from here on forwards, right? That's the plan. Mandy, off topic. My competency sitting at CRC since mid-December. Is this normal? Yeah, they haven't been good at all with their time frames in processing stuff. My missus's license application has been in since since September last year. I think the last time they worked at it, according to the system, was like in the 23rd of November or something. So they are completely overwhelmed by amnesty applications, but they made their own mess again. And it's just like, to me, it's a nightmare. Roy Daniel, but sorry to come back to Mandy. It's a nightmare, but hang in there. It is normal. You'll get your competency, and then from there, do you have an idea as to what sort of farm you're going to purchase and how to motivate for it? get those things ready so long if you haven't already, so that as soon as your competency is approved, you can go straight in with the application. Sorry, it was, yeah, it is Jacques Dweller. That's exactly what I'm concerned about. Good evening, Ned Flanders. I think, is this the first time Ned has been on my channel? I'm not sure, but welcome in any event. So funerals are considered super spreader events, yet the regulations are unchanged. Yeah, this is kind of how they do it. The president speaks and the regulations don't reflect anything he said. And well, I would say to you, how does it work for the sheep? But the sheep don't get COVID. So just ignore the fact that I wanted to even ask that question, Sean. It shows my brain's burnt out. And I've had a long day. Indeed, they also started smoking the ARVs. That's South Africa for you, where we break into clinics, steal ARVs to mix it with drugs because happy fun time. In my glass, I've got ginger ale and Bacardi black rum. And I must add, the one thing though is I've been inundated with anonymous messages of people selling booze with little handwritten price lists that they send. And if you buy the top drawer stuff from them, the prices seem to be a hell of a lot lower than a bottle of Ulfberg that is like retailing for 750, which is extreme. But I tell you what, there are people out there that's going to buy it. I'm still fortunately relatively well stocked. I have had no need to resort to the black market yet. But I tell you one thing, the bootleggers are busy as bees. If I recall correctly, the vaccine has to be refrigerated. Yeah, like something crazy, like minus 70. Mareike knew that. Mareike, how cold do they have to keep the bloody things? Help me out here, but it's minus what? Minus 20. Sorry, minus 70 seemed a bit extreme to me. I'm like, that's awfully cold. They have to, the entire supply chain has to allow for the refrigerated thing to be moved around a country with like 33 degrees Celsius ambient temperatures, summer, meaning us. Dion, I'll send you the anonymous messages I got sent and you can see what you want to do with them. What is the story with almost half of South Africa's oil refineries not up and running? Oh dear. I wasn't aware of this. I'll have to go Google that, sir. But thank you for pointing out half of our oil refineries not been running. That's a bit concerning. Yeah, the gun amnesty is still going, JC, until the end of this month, and there have been quite a few approvals, and they might extend it more. But I haven't heard any finality about them extending it. So don't take my word for it, please. Goeienaand, Beth. Good evening. By the way, Eleutheria, awesome channel. I always say this. Please subscribe to Beth. She's one of my favorite YouTubers. She speaks a lot of sense. She comes from a really interesting angle and take on things, and she always has thoughtful contributions. So she's so pro-free, it's not even funny. So yeah, I have an annoying cough. Yeah. I've had this annoying cough for like 4 months, and it's overshare now, but it's a product of my hay fever from like October last year. So my post-nasal just never really properly cleared up, but it's irritating as hell, and it comes back in the evening, and I wake up with it, and then it goes away during the day. It's murder irritating. Lucky, my competency application is still at local cop shop since October, and not even sent to CRC. Jeepers, dude. No, that's shocking, Wayne. Which police station are you at, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to answer, obviously, but I mean, just for curiosity's sake. It could take longer to get your competency. I ended in December 2018 and go October. Yeah, it's shocking. Okay, so for the Pfizer, it is minus 70 degrees. I thought that was I remember something ridiculously cold. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not convinced it at all, JP. I don't think that you can't take a process that's on average a decade long, in some cases 15 to 20, but on average decade, and tell me, oh, okay, we can do it safely in 8 to 9 months. I mean, come now. Like, the reasons given as to why are also, to me, like, it's all right on the, but just trust the science guy. No, I'm not Bill Nye, trust the science guy. I'm Gideon Hubert, and I I'm skeptical of the shit, and no thank you. You can inject somebody else. Buy a donkey. Okay, you're in good hands, Mandy. Glock 43, excellent choice. Motivus, awesome guy. Max and I are actually busy. This is a bit of there's only 120 of you, but by the way, if you'd like to join my Telegram group, I will post the link on the Paratus Facebook group. And in fact, hang on. While I'm here, I might be able to post it in the description of this video, and you're welcome to pop on there if you do, because I'm just getting banned on Facebook and banned on Twitter, and it's just a mess. So that's at least one way for me to keep in touch with all of you. But yeah, Max and I from Motivus are busy writing a new sports shooting code. And the cool thing about it is we hope to apply for accreditation this year and hopefully get it soon so that we can start issuing our own endorsements and DSS status. And the rule book is about, this is also why I've been quite quiet. We wrote this rule book from almost scratch, 13,700 words and 51 pages. And it's kind of good enough now to start really cooking with gas. So I'm happy. Let me see if I can just do this Telegram thing quickly. Copy link. And I'm going to just try add it to our video description. Can I do it? It would be better than doing it in the comments. I should be able to do this. Come now. You know what? I'll just put a public comment. Public comment with the link that I'm pasting now, and you guys should. I apologize for my technical ineptitude, but it's on the it's on the YouTube. Douglas Dell. Oh, jeepers. Yeah. Okay. Douglas Dell's up, down, up, down, up, down. It's a pain in the butt. Tough question. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Gaelic 10 or Glenmorangie. I haven't had the former. I do enjoy the latter, but if the Laforeg, or however you pronounce it, sounds like Fleming, is good. See, now I need to try both because I do like the Glenmorangie, the 10s. So, yeah, but asking me about single mods is always a tough question, sir. Is nie maar so pipe wat jy laat is. Ja, moenie my vrou sien nie. She's going to smoke. Stop smoking it. I already have to ask permission. No. It's one of the small pleasures I have in life. Don't take it away from me. Local bike shop can't get any spares because the doctor, because you're sitting at home full pay because China flu. You are kidding me, Grant. Oh my God. Like every time you see, this is these streams traumatize me because every time I come on, you guys tell me something new, ridiculous that just makes my eyes pop out of their socket. It was the chemtrails. There you go. It wasn't the pipe. It was the chemtrails. I inhaled my own product while preparing the entire country for this lockdown. It's actually my fault. It's my fault there are so many mask fanatics out there because I've been spraying people with chemtrails for so long that the weak-minded lost their shit. It was all the long game, long preparation for the Wuhan flu. And I contributed to this. I contributed. All my chemtrail spraying, it was me. I'm sorry. Okay, so Moderna is -20 and AstraZeneca, normal refrigerator. So we're apparently getting the AstraZeneca. Okay, that's great. I don't have Facebook. Please post in the description. Okay, cool. I didn't post in the description, Jean, but I posted in the YouTube comments, not the live chat, the actual YouTube comments below there. So feel free to join there. They've known about 20. Well, here's the thing, right? This is another SARS virus. And I wonder, because I'm seeing weird people die for weird reasons from it. I wonder if what the reaction is under people that had the previous SARS virus and then they get this one. I would love to see a study on that. I would love to see if there are any funny correlations or not. Also going to apply for DSS same time. Indeed, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. That's such a corny thing to say, but it's true. Yeah, well, they took Paula down, but unlike Jeremy, who is doom and gloom about it, Jeremy, if you're watching this, you are. I reckon they'll be up and running within a week again. Well, that's what their CEO said. They do have contingencies. I think Amazon ripped the rug out from underneath them a little bit because it was a very sudden attack of censorship. Twitter's share price is paying the price severely for this, as is Facebook's. So this is because you play these stupid games, win these stupid prizes, and we can't let big tech win, guys. We can't let big tech win. Petronas Group, which Engine belongs to, is sitting on massive amounts of jet fuel, diesel, and bunker fuel due to drop in air truck and sea travel. This is part of the reason Engine refinery is closing 2023. Jeez, like it. Like they're just rolling with the punches now. So it's a full-blown fucking economic collapse. We're in, but we're at the beginning of it. And this is something I keep saying to people, this is the start of the fun times. And it'll take mentally and emotionally resilient people and people with guns and ammo and people with the community structure. And this is kind of what this is, right? The 100 and something of us on the stream, we are a community. I said today, it was a little bit controversial, I suppose, but I said, when the torch and pitchfork mob comes and they're coming to the leafy suburbs and they're going for Corin and Ken, who were snitching on their neighbors, who are mask fanatics and obnoxious about it, and who are pro-lockdown and stay home, save lives and all this bullshit. And they say to me, oh, you got guns, please help us. I'm like, fuck you guys. And I'll tell the mob, those are the people you want. They're part of the problem. They wanted you to be unemployed. Go burn their house down and have lots of fun. And I'll get my popcorn. I'll sit back and I'll watch the show, because I would not waste my ammo defending people against a violent mob who worked so hard and so dedicatedly to engineer their own demise, and to almost a level where I perversely look forward to it. Not quite, but almost, because they really are. There's a segment of our society that they might share your language and your skin color and your culture allegedly and your socioeconomic status, but they're really no better than Nazi thugs and common criminals in their mentality and their superiority complex and their disgusting commitment to fucking other people over because they sit in this fortunate position just kind of sickens me to the bone. And if there's justice in this universe, those people will get it in the neck before this is done. But anyway, we'll see. I don't hope it goes down in that direction, because it'll be awful for far too many innocent people if it does. But if the shit hits the fan and those people getting in the neck, I'll sit with my popcorn, thank you very much, in my corner. Is the shit going to hit the fan in the United States? You know what? It's difficult to predict, because the shit's been hitting the fan in the United States for 300 years. It's a country that's always been semi at war with itself. Back in the Revolutionary War days, it was the patriots versus the loyalists. And then during the Civil War era, it was, the Yankees versus Dixie. And there was always a divide in America over something. And it was always a strong divide, enough that they actually started shooting at each other because of it. And America, this whole concept of a unified America, it's all bullshit, because America isn't unified. It's a federation of 50 independent states filled with diverse people with very, very, very differing views and viewpoints. And now I've got the coastal elites and the flyover nation, as they get referred to, as Daniel Ash called them in her book, where she's like, you've alienated all of middle America. And everyone sitting in New York and San Francisco and Los Angeles are just lording themselves over the rest of the country. Of course, that's not going to result in a unified nation, especially if you call people living in Middle America backward, Bible-clutching, narrow-minded, racist, homophobic, gun nuts. No one, you can't have a conversation with somebody when they're calling you those names. And that's unfortunately what's been happening in America. And that's how Donald Trump got in. Too many people see Trump as the problem, not a symptom. Trump's election is a symptom of a greater anger. The fact that Donald Trump did to politicians what politicians did to people. He was rude to them. He didn't respect them. He called them names. He rubbished them. He humiliated them. He treated them like shit. He did every single thing to the political elite that the political elite has been doing to ordinary Americans for decades, if not centuries. It was payback. Unfortunately, it didn't last quite as long as I would have liked it to. But Donald Trump, his presidency was rebellion against the status quo because people are hurtful. And now you have 70 million Americans on one side and 70 million Americans on the other side, and they're not going to reconcile with each other. There's no way. Not with the language coming from the Democrats, because like now it's time to heal, and within a week it's changed. Yeah, we want to heal, but you add the but to it, and I'm like, yeah, you guys you need to understand, lefties, you guys don't have the guns or the guts. And the right, the American center right and far right are not the sort of people you want to fuck with, especially if you've defunded the police. Because what these idiots don't understand is that lawlessness cuts ways. On the one hand, what's protecting the decent family in America from mobs is law enforcement. But ultimately, what's protecting the so-called anti-fascists and the communists from their most hated enemies is the fact that they're protected by law enforcement. You remove law enforcement, you level that playing field. Good luck. May the best man win. And I reckon that's kind of what's going to happen in America. I might be wrong. I'm wrong about a lot of things, but don't tell my wife. But I reckon that could be the case. There was an article released at the end of last year where the stated nations who had SARS and MERS outbreaks are experiencing lower rates of SARS and MERS as help with immunity. Yeah, that makes sense to me. That makes very much sense to me if that's the case. Between the UFOs, chemtrails, Satan's armies working behind the scenes, the mole men and a woman. Oh, the mole, a man and a woman. SIM cards being found in coins to fuck knows what else coming out of the woodwork. The whole world has lost its mind and common sense has become totally void. Indeed, Jay, that's a pretty decent way of summarizing it. Donald released a press statement saying big tech made a massive mistake. So not sure if he has something in the pipeline. Yeah, you know what? The man's a multi-billionaire. He's not an imbecile. There is something in the pipeline. I've no idea what it is. I've no idea how long it would take to manifest, but I'm pretty sure there's something in the pipeline. Indeed, Albuquerque comes there indeed. There you go. Goeienaand, Graham. Good evening, sir. Good to see you. I indeed had a very blessed festive season. How was yours? I wouldn't waste my ammo on the violent mob. Also, on seeing lawn chairs. Yes, you know my secret story. Don't bring the garden furniture into this, Graham. Well, you're definitely on the right channel, Astral Falcon, if you do. This is supposed to be a channel. It's kind of turned into anything goes channel, like fuck the government channel, a whole bunch of stuff. So, yeah. I actually have not seen, by the way, the Lawrence Southern documentary, so I will have to go educate myself before having an opinion, which is what I try to do most of the time, but not always, as some of you may have noticed. Okay, last like 2 minutes, and then I'm going to call it quits, and I'll see you lovely folks again at 6 p.m. on Thursday, and I'll try to bring Germ with. I invited him. He hasn't responded to me, the bastard, but I'll get on this case. Anyone with some last questions, comments before we say good night and goeienaand and get ready for a busy day tomorrow? And I'll read them out and answer them. If you've got gun-related questions, comedies-related questions, I am now a qualified instructor and range officer as of last week, so I'll be trying to do some competency training shortly. So, yeah, at CHS Guns and Ammunition. Welcome to play as soon as that's up and running. Whiskey Friday is back on Friday. It'll be myself, Marika, and Jay, and Brian and Jay, if Jay joins. So, oh yes, Whiskey Friday is back this Friday. Awesome to hear, Graham. Justin, sorry, slight long question. Do I think the ANC will ever start to embrace more deregulated free market policies when the economic damage really takes effect in the next year or two? And I realize the only way to maintain stability and their own power in the long run, besides implementing an old-fashioned Stalinist dictatorship, is through evil capitalist imperialism. I would hope that sense and sensibility kind of happens. But you need to understand there's like 3 or 4 different factions in the ANC right now with a really, really violent faction fight to such an extent that for the past, I'd like to say, better part of the past 4 years, these guys have had their eyes on the ball in the ANC, fighting over it, and not giving a flying fuck about what's happening to the country. Whether or not they even have the capacity as a bunch of nearly octogenarian Luddites that they mostly are, to turn the ship around, be an old dog learning new tricks really quickly, bring the EFF to heel that's trying to push us into an ever more radical Marxist direction. I think Muletsi Mbeki's prediction that we're going to have a type of Arab Spring effect, that it will be the end of the ANC's power, is possibly more accurate. What it's going to be replaced with, though, is the $1 million question. Because if the ANC is replaced by something that's not Marxist, that is pro-business and capitalist, South Africa can be an absolute paradise on earth. We can solve so many of our problems through the free market, through individual liberty, through deregulation. None of these things, I mean, the blueprints exist. None of these things are difficult concepts or are alien or are new. It's all old stories. So sorry for my slightly long answer, but I don't think the ANC is going to come to its senses. I think it lost its senses. I think it's so focused on its own infighting right now, and it's become a matter of survival for the participants to such an extent that winning that fight's more important than anything else, including taking the country in the right direction. But listen, as I said, that's my take on it. I'm not qualified to make future predictions. I'm not Nostradamus, but that's what I think that's going to happen. What AR-15 would I recommend, budget in mind? So the best budget ARs right now that hover around the 20,000 mark brand new is you're looking at the Smith & Wesson M&P 15, which is a Sport 2, by the way. Awesome AR. We're getting the Taurus T4 now as well. It comes with a M-Lock. It's either the M-Lock or the Key Lock, but I think it's the M-Lock system that has a flat top rail as well at the top. And they run about the same price, and they're actually really well manufactured. The proper ARs, and I'm quite impressed. I'll actually do a bit of a video review on one when we get them, and you can see. But you can't go wrong with an M&P 15 Sport 2. They're awesome. Back to the vaccine. No proper testing. What could it do to pregnancy and so on? Yuckles, that's a question I don't know the answer to. I would bear two things in mind. Okay. The manufacturers are exempt from liability for injuries. I need to go find a piece of legislation that quantifies that, but you can't sue them if anything bad happens to you due to this vaccine. That's point number one. Point number two, we frankly just don't know enough. I reckon that's my best take on it. So be careful what you inject into yourselves, folks. I think that's just good advice in general. Yes, on Telegram. I'll hit him up on Telegram. How's that? You can't ignore the message. No stress, Alan. You can rewind, but I'll be back on Thursday night at 6 for an hour. Best beginner gun to get for first-time gun owner, just for safety. Right, self-defense. There's a whole brain stuff you can look in. The Glocks are always good. Okay, you can't go wrong with the Glock, but nor can you go wrong with the Smith & Wesson M&P 9. You can't go wrong with. Look, I'm not a CZ fanboy, but the CZs are also solid guns. The PO9s. The Taurus Millennium G3s are not what they were 10 years ago. They are actually G2s, but the G3s are actually really solid guns. They're worth looking at if you're on a budget. And then the Canex as well. There are several Canex out there that they're well-supported guns worth taking a look at. So I'd say those are the ones that are well-supported with spare parts and holsters and accessories in this country. Go look what's ergonomic lifestyle and what works for you. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Valerie. Awesome comment, Jeb. Marika, there you go. She answers the difficult questions. That's why she's here, to pick up all the balls that I drop. This world is so good. I saw a couple of people giving each other vaccines under the bridge today. That is brilliant. Dior, I am indeed, sir. I don't think there's any going back, sadly, or not sadly. full speed ahead with a couple of other endeavors, including training, including a security company, including consulting, including retail, and including, well, selling my merchandise, talking to people on the stream, and getting super chats and stuff. It all adds up eventually into something. So yeah, there we go. Good evening, the brew. Goeienaand. Berettas are good guns. I don't know what the support is like in the country. There were issues with spares and support at the stage, which is the only reason why I didn't mention Beretta. But as guns go, nothing wrong with Beretta. Awesome guns, very well manufactured. Folks, I'm going to call it a night for now. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Love you long time. Stay safe. Don't get sick. And fuck the government. And on that bombshell, have a great evening. Cheerio and bye-bye.